There we go. Okay, so today's healthy conversation is going to be an answer to one of your questions. Depending on where you're watching this, if you don't know how to submit a question to me, just make sure you hop onto my email list. You can do that by grabbing a freebie. You can DM me, I'll get you on my email list. The freebies are all on my website, elizakingsford.com. And I can also put links here for you to hop onto my email list. I send out an email about once a week, sometimes a little bit more if we're launching something and asking if you care to join us. But about once a week, I'll send an email. I send a poll that I love getting responses from you on. I send an Ask Eliza email, so that's where you can submit these questions to me. You can also submit these questions to me in DMs over Facebook or Instagram, wherever you want to send them to me. So this is one of your questions, and I will answer usually in video format like this, because that's where I am best. I'm best if I'm just chatting with you. So this is a response today to one of your questions. And like I said, if you want to submit a question to me, please do so. I keep them in a sheet, a document, and then I go through them and I will answer them usually in a Thursday healthy conversation or Ask Eliza format. So today's question came from one of you, and she says, my question is, how do I care when I'm so tired? I hope at some point I can work with you in one of your 6-month programs, but it's not possible at the moment. Financially, even though it's a great deal. I am currently working full-time and sometimes over 40 hours per week. I am also a primary caregiver to my father, aged 89. I'm just so tired that I just don't care at times. I don't eat badly, just too much. How do I get to a point that no matter what I am doing, no matter what, I am doing the right thing regarding eating? Okay. So what she's saying is, I'm a caregiver, right? And she's working a lot, and it sounds like she's working sometimes over 40 hours a week. She's also taking care of an elderly parent. And her question is, I'm just so tired. How do I, how do I make myself care? How do I get the motivation to eat healthy no matter what? I'm going to respond to this from 30,000 foot view. In my world, we call this sort of metacognition. And while I don't have the capacity to go into all of the pieces and parts of this, I want to sort of paint the overall picture of what we're talking about here. Because this is, and the reason why I'm doing it this way is because this is what I see for many, 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 many people, and why I built the Shift program, which is the 6-month program she's referencing here. Why I built the Shift program, because of questions exactly like this, which is, here's some of the context of my environment, right? I'm so tired. I'm working 40 hours a week. I'm a caregiver for my father. This is the context of my environment. My expectation is that my behaviors should be on point with what I want them to be, which is, she says, how do I do the right thing regarding eating, even though I'm so tired, I'm a caregiver, right? So how come my behaviors are not consistent or where I want them to be, even though I have this context of my life going on? And exactly what I teach in all of my work is that we have this false notion that if we just focus and control and force our behaviors along, we should be able to behave in the way that we expect ourselves to behave around food, right? Don't eat that, do eat this, stop eating when it's enough, don't eat too much. I don't care what's going on in my life, I should be able to get myself under control, right? And the issue with that is that what we don't understand is that a lot of our eating behaviors are directly correlated with the health and the functioning of our nervous system. Okay, I'll say that again. A lot of our eating behaviors are directly correlated with the health and functioning of our nervous system. So just in the 2-sentence context that she gave me about, she's so tired, she's working more than 40 hours a week and is a caregiver for an elderly parent. Okay. That is taxation on the nervous system. And while we might want to ignore that, or not even ignore it, we might say, okay, yeah, sure, my nervous system is stressed. Can't do anything about it. Big deal. Just tell me how to stop eating, right? Like that's how people come to me, right? But I teach and explain that your nervous system is this really, really powerful function in your body. It's designed that way. It's designed quite literally for your survival. And so if it's taxed, if it's overtaxed, if it's hypervigilant, if it's in what we call sympathetic dominance, okay? And it sounds like in just the very couple sentences that she wrote me, there is some sympathetic dominance in her system right now, meaning her nervous system is picking up on cues from the environment that things are hard, or I have more demands on my system than I have capacity to hold, right? The system is this blinking light saying I have more demands on my system than I have capacity to hold. And when the nervous system gets that way, and it's triggered in that way, it starts to activate mechanisms outside of your conscious awareness and outside of your conscious control in order to deal with the circumstances. So it's saying, we're overtaxed, I've got too much going on, and therefore I'm going to figure out how to cope with this situation by doing any number of things. Food, for many people, is one of those things that the nervous system goes to when it's taxed and feels like it doesn't have the capacity to meet the demands on the life, right? So it doesn't have the capacity to meet the demands of the stressors or the circumstances in that person's life at that moment, right? So, for instance, she's saying, I don't eat poorly, I don't eat badly, whatever that means to her. I just eat too much. So, for example, when the system is taxed, one of the things it can do is become desensitized to satiety cues. Satiety cues. In other words, telling us, hey, I've had enough food here. I don't need to keep eating. I have enough energy to meet the demands of my life. That's what your satiety cues are responsible for. But when you are in stress mode, right, when your system is taxed, as I was explaining, one of the things that can happen unconsciously is that it accidentally misinterprets the stress in your life for the need for survival, right? So if the body is stressed and it needs to survive, one of the things the system interprets is, well, I need energy, like I need food to survive. If I'm, under duress, if I'm stressed and I'm in a fight or flight system, I need energy to be able to fight, right? And so one of the mechanisms that the body has control over is to turn down your satiety cues that would say, I've got enough energy here, I'm all good, I can meet the demands of my life with the amount of food that I have, all good, I can stop eating. It can desensitize you to that cue. And so you eat more than your body needs because it is mistaking the stress in your system for not enough energy. Okay, I know these are kind of complicated, and that's why I started this video by saying I won't be able to break down each of these pieces. But the point I'm trying to make is that it's not effective for us to ignore the circumstances of our lives, the stressors in our lives, the things that are taxing our nervous system, the demands on our nervous system, right? We can't ignore those and then just say, well, how come I'm eating poorly or eating badly, or why can't I stick to my plan, or why can't I just stop eating, or whatever? Because the biology, the physiology is in interplay with how much we eat, when we stop, what types of food we eat, for a number of reasons, right? So not to get too complicated for her, but I wanted to kind of paint the overall picture of a dysregulated nervous system that is searching for coping mechanisms to deal with the dysregulation in the body. Oftentimes we'll turn to food as one of those for many, 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 many people. And we can't just kind of muscle our way through it. We have to deal with the dysregulation in the system. Now, she might be saying to me right now, well, I can't not be the caregiver for my father, and I can't not work over 40 hours a week. So what am I supposed to do? Right. And those are the things that I spend a lot of time teaching about, is how we build more capacity and flexibility in our nervous system within the context of our environment. So we make the mistake that we believe, well, I have to quit my job, or I have to stop being the caregiver, or I have to change partners, or I have to give my children away, or whatever, in order to be able to calm down my nervous system. That's not true. There are many, many ways that we can learn skills and tools and capacity to regulate our nervous system, no matter what the circumstances of our lives are, in order to bring the system back down to homeostasis, or back down to a baseline level of functioning where it doesn't mistake the circumstances for immediate danger and therefore trigger you to eat more. Okay. So there are ways to do that in your current environment, no matter what the circumstances are, to tell the system it's okay here. You can calm down. You can bring my satiety cues back online. You can turn down my hunger cues because I'm okay here. Now, I know that didn't directly answer her question on how to regulate the system, but ideally, well, I'll just give a couple examples of ways that we can regulate the system, because I know she's probably now going, okay, well, how do I do that? So breath work is one of the, most easily accessible, quickest, it's accessible to all of us for free, right? Managing your breath in things like box breathing. So breathing in for 4, hold for 4, breathing out for 4, hold for 4. If you just did that for 1 to 2 minutes, that will regulate the nervous system in your body. That's number one. We can use breathing techniques. Obviously, sort of meditation or stillness techniques, if you have capacity or ability to do anything like that. Walking outside in nature. Nature is a good regulatory skill for our nervous system, and it doesn't have to be hours at a time, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Anything that helps us feel connected, right? So moments of joy, maybe you have a pet, or maybe you have a child, or maybe there's a that you love. These things that bring us moments of calm or peace and joy will actually physically regulate the nervous system in your body. And the key here is that, and believe me, there's a whole lot more context to this, again, which is why I built the entire, KIFT program. But if I'm just trying to help with snippets, the key here is that the more you intentionally activate regulation in your system, so this is something that I believe everybody needs to do multiple times a day. Everyone, whether you're feeling stressed or not, is that we need to bring moments of active regulation into our system as many times as possible as we can throughout the day. Breathing techniques, slowing down, finding moments of joy, finding moments of gratitude, because the more we bring that into our system, the more it builds the capacity to deal with the circumstances of our lives. So as we're building capacity in our system, meaning we have more ability to deal with the stressful circumstances. The problem is we have stressful circumstances in our lives, and we keep taking from that well. We keep making withdrawals from that well. We don't ever put any deposits back into it. So these moments of breath work, or little walks, or moments of gratitude or joy, or, spending time with your pet, or whatever it is that brings these moments of joy into your system, is like putting a deposit in the well. So that even though there's stressful circumstances in your life, you're not just taking from it, you're also putting back in. Okay. Oh, that was a lot of information for today. I hope that was helpful for you all in some ways. I do think continuing to talk about some of this nervous system stuff seems to be really of interest to you all and supportive. So we will continue to do that. If you have a question for me for Ask Eliza, please definitely get on my email list so that you can submit those. Those go directly to me, or just reach out to me and we can chat about submitting a question, and I would love to answer it for you in this format. All right, everybody. See you next week.